Shalom uvracha from Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh. This evening we study the Haftarah of Parshat Tazria, connected and combined together with the Parshat of Metzora. We have a double section of study this week, Tazria-Metzora, and we are studying the Haftarah that will be read, which is taken from the Haftarah of Metzora. Generally speaking, that's the rule that when there are two Torah sections being read, we read the Haftarah of the second Parshat. This evening, we study the Haftarah of Metzora, which we will call, for the purpose of our study, the combined Haftarah of Tazria-Metzora, taken from the 7th chapter of Kings 2. Perek Zayin of Melachim Bet. This is our second Haftarah series, thank God. And I would like to analyze one aspect of the prophetic reading of this particular Shabbat. Those people following, in most communities, the Haftarah begins chapter 7, verse 3. A fascinating story about how 4 lepers, since the Torah section, both of Tazria and Metzora, both of those sections deal with certain concepts connected to leprosy. The Haftarah selection also deals with people who are connected to leprosy. 4 Mitzoraim, 4 lepers who are standing outside of the camp of Israel, and they're the ones who discover the fact that the camp of Aram, the camp of Syria, was completely, they completely abandoned their posts. The Jewish people were suffering greatly at that time. There was a great famine in the land. There was great hunger in the land. They had no supplies. They had no food. And these 4 Mitzoraim were the ones, and the details of which are discussed in the Haftarah. They are the ones who enter the camp of Aram, the camp of Syria, who are attacking and fighting the Jewish people. And they notice that the camp of Aram, that the armies of Aram had fled. They completely abandoned their positions and they left everything intact. They left all of the food and all of the drinks and all of the supplies and all of the clothing as it was, because they were so afraid of the attack of the Jewish people against them. Because God had made them aware, perhaps of something which didn't even happen. God made them hear the impending attack of the nation of Israel against them. They thought that the nation of Israel was so strong, so they all fled. They all led. And these 4 Mitzoraim enter the camp of Aram, and they realize that the people of Aram had fled, and they came into the camp, and they saw that there's an abundance of food, an abundance of drinks. It's in the middle of a great starving famine in the land, tremendous level of difficulty that the nation was going through. And they saw silver and gold and clothing, as is described. It went from one tent to another tent. And then they realized that they're doing something which is improper. They realized they're doing something which is immoral. I'd like to read chapter 7, verse 9 together. Vayomeru ish el re'ehu. Each of these lepers says to the others. One says to the other. Vayomeru ish el re'ehu. They said to each other, Lo chein anachnu osim. We are acting improperly. They were pursuing these tents on their own, by themselves. They're eating, they're drinking, they're gathering, they're amassing the wealth. But the whole nation is suffering. The king doesn't know about this. The people don't know about this. We are supposed to go back and tell them. Lo chein anachnu osim. It is improper. It's not correct. We are not acting properly. We are not acting correctly. Lo chein. Hayom hazeh yom bisorahu. This is a great day of great news. Like, wow, what a turnaround in the middle of the war. Look what happened. Yom bisorahu. Today is a great day of great news. Va'anachnu machshim. If we are quiet, if we are silent, and we don't share the news with the people, if we wait till the morning, this will be considered a very grave sin on our part. This is a great transgression on our part. V'hikinu ad ora boker. If we wait till the next morning, till tomorrow morning, umitza'anu avon, we will thereby be incurring guilt. We can't wait till tomorrow morning. The state of the Jewish nation is such that they're in danger, and the people are starving, they're famished. Let's go tell them right away, because if we wait till tomorrow, this could be sinful. And that's what they do. It seems to me, although the commentaries suggest what's the big sin, the commentaries say the sin is that the people need the provisions immediately, and they can't wait till tomorrow. Maybe some people, God forbid, dying of hunger, God forbid, dehydrating of thirst. And mitza'anu avon could mean we will be sinning thereby if we don't share the news of all of the provisions that are available to the people. I would like to suggest that in addition to that interpretation, we can learn from our Haftarah an insight into sharing good news. And this is what I would like to posit. If you have good news to share with people, then share it. Then go and tell them. If you don't tell them, if you keep it to yourself, people love to hear good news. You have a Besorah Tovah. Yom Besorahu. Today's a great day of good news. Well, Besorah. So share the Besorah. Now's not the time to be quiet. V'anachnu machshim. We will be quiet. We won't tell anybody. That's a sin. U'mitza'anu avon. The first year that we came, Baruch Hashem, to Eretz Yisrael, Hani and I, approximately 34 years ago, Baruch Hashem. So I think it was either the first or second day that we came to Yerushalayim. We met this very holy fruit dealer, fruit and vegetable dealer on Rehov Malchei Yisrael in Geula. We had rented an apartment for 6 weeks initially, and then we moved to Baruch Hashem to Ma'alot Ifna. For 6 weeks we lived in Geula, and every day I would see this person who dealt in fruits and vegetables of blessed memory. His name was Baruch Shabbatai. And I got to know him over those weeks because it was like my initial contact, my initial connection to Israel, the first time that we were living here. And a very, very sweet Sephardic man of blessed memory. And I remember one day, they came by to announce funerals. I don't know, those people, if some people sitting here who live in Yerushalayim, maybe you know that sometimes they go with sound trucks and they announce that the funeral procession of so and so will take place at this and this hour. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
what? So it bothered him so much. It bothered him so much. But with the help of Hashem, it'll never happen again because God will remove a death from the world, Bezrat Hashem, tonight, and there'll be no future funerals. But in the past, Rav Baruch was so disturbed, and then I sort of respect. I was buying some holy Israeli tomatoes and holy Israeli cucumbers, and so I saw his face. He said, why does he come by with those announcements? They would drive right by, Halavayato. Now, of course, they mean well. They want people to come and attend the funeral. But he used to say often, and we kept up a relationship for years afterwards. Even after we moved to Ma'alot Ifna, there were years that we used to buy our fruits and vegetables from him since we started him. He said, why can't they come by and announce with the same soundtrack? Why don't they announce the birth of new babies? What are they announcing? What are they announcing? Funerals? I want to hear about Shalom Zachar. I want to hear about a Kiddush. Why don't they announce the Brit? We're happy to inform everyone here in Yerushalayim that the circumcision of so-and-so will take place at such and such. That was Baruch's argument, Why not tell us about a wedding? There are weddings. Wedding. We'd love to hear about weddings. We'd love to hear about bar mitzvah celebrations, bat mitzvah celebrations. Wouldn't that be better, he said to me often, than announcements about funerals? Now, I'm not criticizing because I know that sometimes there's no time to call people. There's no time to put up signs, especially in Yerushalayim. The custom is to bury even late into the night. I'm not criticizing, but the message of Baruch is a beautiful message. The message is if you have something good to say. So share good news. Share good news. Don't be stingy. I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about with good news. You have good news? Share it. Share it with others. Yom Bisorahu, said the 4 lepers. Today is a day of good news. What are you supposed to do with good news? Tell others, especially those people who will benefit. Especially those people who will benefit from that good news. Don't keep it to yourself. And don't wait to tell them tomorrow. You'll tell them the good news. Tell them now. People want to hear. People are excited to hear good tidings. And there's a verse in the book of Proverbs, which I think can be related to this discussion. In the book of Mishlei, in the third chapter of Mishlei, we read, Al timna tov mi'alav. Don't withhold. Chapter 3, verse 27. Chapter 3, verse 27 of Proverbs. Al timna tov mi'alav. Don't hold back good from those to whom it is due. If someone can have something good, like good news, so share it with them. In the case of the Haftarah, the good news is so important because they will then be able to go and benefit from the provisions. They'll be able to go and benefit from all those goods that the army of Aram left over. But generally speaking, about good news, Yom Bisorahu, Al Timna Tov Miba'alav. And I feel that maybe it is precisely the Mitzoraim who were involved in teaching this message. Maybe it's precisely the lepers who were the ones who teach this message to us. In a certain sense, we're students of theirs, learning the message of sharing good news immediately. Because, the leprosy is generally associated, or often associated, in rabbinic literature, connected to the messages of our Torah section, of people who speak improperly. When someone is involved with something called lashon hara, evil speech, negative speech, slanderous speech, often that's associated in our tradition with the punishment of a certain form of leprosy called tzarat. But maybe if someone is involved in tzarat, God forbid, it should never happen again. But if someone is involved in tzarat, in a negative kind of speech, maybe the tikkun, maybe the spiritual tikkun is, okay, if God forbid someone spoke improperly, someone spoke negative words, someone spoke words which caused people pain, or caused people insult, or caused people embarrassment, or caused people anguish. You know what the tikkun could be? Maybe you have to go and say something good now. Maybe not just keep quiet. There are those who want to say, how do you do a rectification, for lashon hara? Well, maybe you have to go back and try to tell the people what you said and maybe correct the path. Although that's very difficult to do because who knows how far the report reached. Maybe it means take upon yourself not to speak lashon hara anymore. Maybe you should study about lashon hara. You should teach about lashon. It's all true. But maybe one way of doing it is the way these Mitzoraim did. Maybe you should be the one to bring the good news to the whole world. Maybe you should be the one who has that positive word, that happy word. And maybe the happy, positive, blessed word is a spiritual rectification for any form of negative speech that was uttered by anybody who's currently suffering from tzarat. And I would like to quote the Zohar. I'd like to quote the Zohar on our Torah section. Those people interested, it's in the Zohar on the book of Vayikra, the Zohar on the book of Leviticus. The Zohar is the main work, of course, of mystical Jewish tradition. Page 46b, and I quote, Kima de ansha, the high barnash, begin milah bisha, the same way punishment, God forbid, comes upon an individual who speaks negative words, bad words. Kach anshe, so too will be the punishment. Begin milah tava, dika'atei liyadeh. So too that person will be held responsible for a good word that they could have said. V'yachil l'malah, and he could have said it. She could have said it. She could have uttered a good word. She had a positive message. She had positive news. He had good news to share. He had some kind of encouraging word, some kind of guiding word, some kind of enlightening word. So the same way God exacts punishment upon people who speak negatively, speak negative words, so too God holds us responsible for all of the good words. The ka'ateli adeh, b'yachil l'malala v'la malil, and did not speak. If a person did not speak the good word when they could have spoken the good word, then maybe that too is a very serious punishment. Maybe the Metzoraim, maybe the lepers in our Haftarah are teaching us. You have some good word to say, especially if you've said improper words in the past. Go out there and say it. Go address the people. Go address the world. Go share with the world the greatest of levels of happy, positive, proper levels of good news. And maybe if we do that, then tonight will be the night, I hope, of the ultimate good news. Because in several places in Tanakh, especially in the book of Yeshayahu, we read about the great news that's about to happen. Manavu al harim raglei mivaser. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the one that's going to bring those good tidings, those good news, those besarot tovot. You know, we mentioned in our prayers, we mentioned the blessings you have to be. Vivaser lanu, Eliyahu Navi, and other vivaser lanu besarot tovot. Mashiach is coming. Manavu al harim raglei mivaser. That's the word that's used in our Haftarah, the Yom Besorah. Mashmiah shalom, announcing peace. Mashmiah mivaser tov, bringing good tidings. Mashmiah Yeshua. Omer l'Tzion, Malach Elokayich, announcing to Zion, announcing to Eretz Yisrael, announcing to Yerushalayim, that once again, Baruch Hashem, God will reign in Zion. We are hoping that in the merit of studying about the good news that the 4 lepers brought to the camp of Israel, tonight will be the night together that we all hear those good tidings. And if you have good tidings, if you have good news to share, never hold back. Never be silent. Learn from the great actions of the lepers of our Haftarah. Thank you so much for listening. Shalom.